Hey, how's it going, everybody? Gabriel, Santiago here. So this is a Speaking of Harmony podcast, and this is episode 40. Wow, 40 already, yeah? Nice. Happy weekend, everybody. And before we go into today's subject, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the little bell to notifications. This is all my social media stuff. Don't forget to hit the like button. It helps a lot. And also don't forget to subscribe to the main list description here in the video, how to do that. All right, today's subject is something people have been asking me, and particularly someone asked me the other day, and actually the video from the past episode, to talk about bass, basically bass, how I'm dealing with bass, using bass with this kind of harmony, this kind of music, and guitar and all that. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I'd like to point out that I see the bass part as just a regular voice, basically, right? So along with the melody and the middle voices and stuff, it's just another voice. So I guess, we can have different approaches when it comes to the bass voice. And I can actually probably make separate episodes just talking about specifically each one of them, right? Today I'm going to stick with one. But basically, the bass voice, can be just kind of performing its main role, which is playing the bass, right? The roots or the inversions or whatever, right? And you can also have a more active bass voice, like the stuff that I do that I'm going to show a little bit today. A more counterpoint kind of very active voice when it's actually playing melodies and embellishments and all that stuff. You can also have a more ecstatic bass voice, meaning like a pedal kind of thing, right? Right, like a static bass. And you can have the bassless scenario as well, where you don't have a bass at all. You're just kind of playing rootless chords, right? Bassless chords, which is also I really love to do, especially if you're in a texture where you do have a bass playing with you. They kind of change things a bit. But today I'm going to stick with this more like moved and active type of bass, right? That kind of role that the bass can also play, the bass voice, right? Well, I don't really have a recipe or anything. I'm just hearing that voice, and basically it's like when we talk about past episodes already about hashtag voice leading. I'm always waiting for or looking for opportunities to comment, right? To leave things, to keep things moving, right? Because for me, harmonies, it should be horizontal. It should be always moving. Even if you're static within a chord, the voices should be moving and be dynamic, right? So if I'm playing a melody, and let's say the melody is idle or is resting or has a long note, here's a chance to comment on that, right? On that previous statement of phrase or theme. So the bass voice can come in and contribute to that, right? That's an example, right? The bass voice can fulfill that role, if you will. Let's take a tune like a Black Orpheus, which is I have been playing recently a lot with students. Right, for instance, right at the beginning, I can use that long note in the melody to comment, to use the bass to come in and comment, right? For instance, so I have all this bass now, right? And I have these chords to play, right? I have B half diminished, E7 flat 9, and go here, right? So I can do something like that, like. what is that? This is a two things at the same time. I'm exploring the inversions of the chords. That's one thing you can use as an aid to that sort of path of the bass, right? For instance, I have A minor 7 in this case, and then on B half diminished, I inverted the chord, you know, to its fifth, right? So you have a B minor 7 flat 5, right? And that flat 5 is in the bass, right? So I have this chord here. And then that voice lead really well into E7 flat 9, right? So here I'm using, you know, non-harmonic tones basically, right? Passing tones and neighbor tones and stuff like that to get from the bass note I was into the new bass, right? So I'm here. So this line I just kind of did. So so that's a passing, that's a neighbor tone, right? And then passing tone into this. So using non-harmonic tones and inversions, which I talked about in past episodes as well, go check that out. You can create this melody, basically, this comment, right? This phrase, this commentary that the bass did, right? I'm using inversions and non-harmonic tones, right? So right, and then I did put some swagger in it, right? Right, and here I did like a comeback thing, like harmonizing, right? And then came back to A minor, right? Then if you go on, you go here, there's a space here to do things as well. So we have, let's say, something like it. What did I do here? I am going from C to C sharp diminish, and that is leading, you know, leading us to D minor, right? So what I did, I do have the 7th string, which helps a lot, right? So I have, I just kind of went all the way back down into the C sharp, but octave lower. So I did, and this time I used some chromaticism as well, right? This is the C major scale, basically, right? That's C major, right? So I did, right? I put some chromaticism in there to get me into C sharp, right? And then I'm here on D minor, right? So this is another way you can use it, right? Chromaticism. So basically, the most times I use that kind of thing is I combine inversions and non-harmonic tones. Basically, that's just basically what I'm doing, right? On this song, you can check so many things out. So here, arpeggiation of C7, like just a basic C dominant arpeggio. That's what I did. See, right? That's basic arpeggio. I wasn't really doing, you know, passing tones or anything. Just, and then inversion again. See, with no harmonic tones. Right, change voices and everything. So I'm always kind of aware of, you know, the chords I'm in, the scale I'm in, the mode, whatever. So I'm just basically improvising, but with using that voice, right? It's kind of, I'm kind of soloing over, but I'm soloing on the voice, on the bass voice, basically. But I'm really aware and conscious on where exactly I'm gonna phrase with the bass, right? I can't intrude the main melody, right? The melody is the king, as we already know, right? So I'm just looking for spots where, in opportunities where the melody allows me to comment, right? I'm not, I have to be out of the way because the melody is the king. The melody has to be exposed, right? You know. There was enough space for me to fill that gap. See? Sorry. Another space. Another space. Stuff like that, right? Of course, I am using some of the language, although I'm not a specialist in this style, but I'm definitely drawing from and inspired by, somehow influenced by this major, huge language with the 7th string has in Brazil, this huge and profound language of choro and samba, right? Especially choro music, this urban early 20th century music, late 19th and early 20th century music, urban music in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Like there is a gigantic body of work with this instrument and the role this instrument has in that music. I am drawing from that a little bit and influenced by it. Although I am not a choro guy, a traditional one, I'm not that familiar with the language, but I draw from it, I'm inspired by it. I kind of adapt into my own playing. And that's definitely something you have to be inspired by, and I'm super inspired by, and I have the ultimate respect for the 7th string players, you know. Like, you have to check them out. I'm gonna link some music over here so you can check these bass lines and how they deal with that, right? So Garoto and, you know, Raphael Rabello, and, you know, there's so many masters, and some people, you know, you kind of have to study their bass lines and stuff like that, you know, stuff like stuff like that. So songs, they're like pretty much a bass line, and it's unbelievable. It's beautiful. I'm gonna link some music here so you can check out, but know that I am influenced by those guys as well a little bit, not as much as some other things, but definitely part of this thing as I'm playing, it's drawing from that language. So that's a little bit of, you know, how I deal with the bass voice, right? It's just basically commenting and looking for opportunities in the, you know, in the song where the melody allows me to comment and provide some kind of answer, you know, to that melody or that statement, right? Or that phrase or that theme. That's basically what I'm doing, right? But really aware of the chords I'm playing and the inversions possibilities I can use to connect the dots, to connect the notes, and then using non-harmonic tones, passing tones, neighbor tones, and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of what I would love to have talked about today. And I'll probably come back tomorrow to talk a little bit more of the bass role and these other things I talked in the beginning. But if you guys have suggestions on what you wanted to hear, even expand a little bit on this, leave in comments, because I'm happy to, you know, to talk more and suggest more things, you know. So before we go, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the little bell thing notification. This is all my social media stuff. Don't forget to sign up for the mailing list, and don't forget to comment also in the video and suggesting things so we can keep that conversation going. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.